Yo. Aubrey Edwards, Tony Schiavone. We bout to party. We bout to party. Unrestricted. Got the house now. We gon' turn it up.
Hey everybody, welcome to AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. I am Aubrey Edwards here on a very exciting day. Today is the day that AEW Fight Forever releases. That's right, it is out on PlayStation 5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and Windows PC. It is everywhere. Graphics are amazing. Gameplay modes, like all the mini games, are absolutely hilarious. There's tons of customizations. And I have the best panel of people to talk about this game today. Let me introduce everybody. First off, we have Adam Cole, Bebe, Chugs,
yes.
who we can't have a video game podcast without having Chugs on the podcast.
No
so
way.
There we go.
Would have been offended.
I know. It was just like, we were talking about doing this, and it's like, who should we have on this? I'm like, Cole. Like, duh.
Thank you.
Of course.
Great to be here.
We have AEW's Evil Uno, host of All Elite Arcade on Twitch, and the person who's probably had the most Fight Forever playing time outside of the development team.
I would assume so. I've put in hours. I've put in probably 50 plus hours already. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm still awful at the game, which is the worst part of it all. Every time someone plays against me, they still end up beating me, which is a terrible, showcase of my skills, I guess. But I'm doing.
That was always my favorite, like, making video games, is that, like, I would be really, really good at the game, and then on launch day, you just watch all of a sudden, like, your name just drop down the leaderboard because suddenly everybody becomes really good at it. It's like, sorry, that's just perpetual. You're going to be terrible. And then finally, we have Nik Sobic, who people on this podcast have never met before, but he is AEW Senior Vice President of Business Development, Partnerships, and Video Games. He's probably the guy closest to Fight Forever, which is why he's here. So hello, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. It's great to finally be on the show.
Right? It's weird because, like, Nick is my boss. So he's like the guy in charge of the podcast. And it's been 3 years. And he finally just met our producer, which is super fun.
I have to correct one thing because Uno's being super modest. He might be one of the best AEW Fight Forever players on the planet right now.
I'll take it.
Right now. Someone's going to catch him. Maybe someone on this podcast is going to catch him. But so I've been developing this game for 3.5 years, and he picked it up. He figured it out, and he's already better than me. But I will say my lifetime record, Street Fighter 2, 1-0 over Uno. So
it is true.
Oh.
That is true.
Yeah.
Fighting games not my forte. If you give me puzzles, I'm decent, but I'm not the greatest.
Uno, I'm generally the same. I'm kind of the same.
Nick is very good at Street Fighter 2. So.
I'm a button masher for life, so I feel it. Like, I'm just like, whatever. I'm here to have fun. As long as everyone has fun, then we're all good. That's my stance on fighting games.
100%.
Right. So as Nick sort of said, he's been working on this game for 3.5 years, which is a ridiculous amount of time, but not really a ridiculous amount of time in the context of game development. So let's talk about the origin and the development. How does work start on a wrestling game like Fight Forever?
Yeah. So let's do the origin. Genesis from the
story.
Genesis from the Bible story. So like on day one, Tony Khan creates AEW. On day 2, Tony Khan creates AEW Fight Forever. So
really, there's nothing else in between those two.
Actually, that's very close to the truth. So, day one, so I was the first employee of AEW, and on day one, we pumped a bunch of money into this company to get it off the ground. And on day 2, we had the nerve to go back and ask him for another pile of money to make this video game. And the nice thing about Tony is he's not like a super emotional thinker. He's a super strategic data and analytical thinker. And so we just presented our case. We said, hey, we think that there's a gap in the market for a game like this. Our audience, AEW's audience, freaking loves video games. And if you look at social media sentiment and you look at sort of the type of game people have been asking for, this is like 20 years in the making. People have been waiting for a game like this for a very long time. So it was actually a pretty easy pitch. Obviously, it was a successful pitch because 3.5 years later, we have a video game ready to go and ready to share with the world.
That's awesome. It's funny enough that like I like to think that Fight Forever started before Dynamite. It's like, let's just get straight to the point. Let's just whatever.
It actually may have, yeah.
Exclusive. You heard it here first. So Uno, when was the first time you heard that the game was in development?
I learned pretty quickly from Kenny Omega because in the early phases, he met with a lot of us to get input on what we thought were fun about that generation's wrestling game, because they really wanted to have input from pro wrestlers, right? Because at the end, it's a pro wrestling game. And also, I was a huge gamer. I'm sure, Cole, you were approached early on as well. So a few other people.
Very similar story.
He approached a lot of the hardcore gamers, the people that have played this. And I played, the Aki Engine games since they came out. So, and I'm still actively playing it. So with my friends from high school, my friends from when I grew up, and from wrestling friends as well. So it's just a game that we've all loved. So I assume maybe 6 months after this discussion is when we were already talking about the game internally amongst, the roster. And I've been a part of it pretty much since. So
awesome. So Cole, you come to AEW a little bit later than the rest of us.
Yeah.
When did you first find out about it? 5 minutes after you came through the curtain at All Out?
Right. Very, very quickly. And similar to Uno, it was Kenny Omega who had talked to me. Aside from him being a friend, again, like Uno mentioned, he knows that I'm a huge, huge video game fan. And a lot of my free time is spent gaming. So Kenny is also incredibly passionate about video games, but specifically very passionate about wrestling games. So even before I saw footage of anything, just watching Kenny talk about his excitement about some of the features in the game and the little details of things made me automatically excited. And then, of course, when I got to see some footage of the game, I totally understood because it made me just as excited. But I think our fans pay attention to the details. And I think a lot of video game fans really do love and appreciate the little details. And I felt like from a very early stage, Fight Forever had this concept and this idea of what a modern pro wrestling video game should be like. Again, like mentioned earlier, what fans have been clamoring for quite some time. So I knew about it pretty early on, and I've been excited ever since. So this is an exciting time.
Very exciting time. Super awesome. So back to Nik. Obviously, like all of us have kind of talked at this point about how we wanted it to feel like the old school Aki style engine games. What other features were sort of important for you starting those talks about development?
There's so many similarities between launching AEW as a company and launching AEW Fight Forever, the video game. I just think about like day one AEW, we went out and got the best talent in the world. And unfortunately at that time, Adam Cole wasn't available yet. So, we had to wait
a little
bit longer. But we got the best talent in the world who was available to work on this video game. So we have the best video game publisher in the world, THQ Nordic. We have the best wrestling development studio in the world, Ukes. We have, in my opinion, one of the best creative minds in wrestling working on this game every day, Kenny Omega. And then the icing on the cake for me is we went out and found a guy named Hideyuki Iwashita, a.k.a. Gata, who was the creative director on No Mercy 20 years ago. So we built a dream team over the course of a week to work on this game, and very similar to kind of how we launched AEW, go get the best people to make the best product. So another thing that sort of this game shares with kind of the way AEW fans are used to experiencing AEW. It wouldn't be an AEW product without some surprises. So I'm very excited at some point for people to sort of start to find some of the Easter eggs and some of the sort of the things that we have up our sleeve, in addition to the amazing core base game.
So speaking of surprises and whatnot, I know the game comes out today. People are real excited about it. We've seen a lot of fun stuff that has come out of trailers, and I know you guys were playing the game at FanFest. I think everybody got their butt kicked by -1. That was fun to watch, by the way.
Yeah, he absolutely destroyed us. That's just one
He is
example of me
ruthless.
not being good at games.
I do quickly want to say one of the most exhilarating video game experiences.
Oh,
I've
you were
ever had.
sweating afterwards. We were talking about it.
So much fun. So much fun.
Okay, segue. Let's talk about that. How did that whole FanFest thing come together? Like, where did we let's get Brody Jr. up on stage to like kick everyone's ass? Like, whose idea was that?
On the lead up of everything, we were trying to do panels to showcase our video game, because our video game, we were starting to advertise and market it that very week. You know, we were starting to showcase characters, and we were starting to reveal who was in the roster. And I think a decision at the last second was like, we should reveal Brody because Lil Brody is here. And he, to be honest, he actually requested if he could play the game that day. And so it kind of just formed into, well, let's just have him play Adam Cole and have fun, you know? And he's a showman. He is so...
Oh, you don't say.
He is so good. The whole time I felt like, wow, it took us years for us to get this good at public speaking. He's on a microphone instantly. And on top of that, he was so good at this game.
And I'll tell you, the double whammy is he's showboating and entertaining the audience as we're playing, obviously live in front of this crowd. And under his breath, to just me, where only I can hear it, he's going, "Oh my God, this is so much fun." While he's like, showboating and everything like that. Yeah. So it was, again, I know we had talked about this. Maybe this was off air. Maybe this was at the very, very beginning, but we talked about how important it is for a game to be fun, whether you are skilled or not skilled at it. And I can tell you, even though I lost that big match, I had an absolute blast from start to finish. It's just a fun game to play.
So good to hear. And we're talking about roster and stuff and unveiling characters and whatnot. Uno, who is your favorite character to play in Fight Forever?
The second I got the game, I played as John Silver, just because we're both in Dark Lore. He's my pal. And also just, it's cool. And I've talked to Cole about this too, because his character's in there. It's fun to like see my friends and then start unraveling their moves as I play them as well. And being kind of surprised. I was like, oh, I can't believe this got in there and this got in there. Like the attention to detail on that stuff. So yeah, my day one guy was John Silver, and then Chuck Taylor, who I've known for 18 years now, was my second character.
Yeah, I think I ran into Orange Cassidy in the hallway in Vegas, and he's like, "Yeah, I just played the game for 4 hours." I'm like, "What's your favorite part?" And he goes, "Oh, I can press one of the buttons, and my hands go in my pockets, and then my moveset still works." I'm like, "Oh." That makes total sense in the world. And as a wrestling fan, it's like, why wouldn't that work?
Yeah, there's a constant amount of those little surprises. It's very neat. It's incredible.
Right. Which is one of those things, like, at the end of the day, as a developer, it's like, how much does that move the needle as far as, like, how we can, make money? But at the end of the day, like, we're trying to please the fans who have wanted a game like this for a very long time. So before we go to break, I want to hear everybody else. Adam, who's your favorite character to play?
Well, besides myself. Of course. Playing as Dr. Britt Baker is pretty cool. Also, I love. But
she in the room? Are you saying that we're shaking over here?
Nope, she's not. Yep. Okay. Definitely my favorite. Definitely my. No, in all seriousness, like getting to play through multiple different characters, and again, like the attention to what these wrestlers would actually do in a wrestling match has really been paid attention to. But weirdly enough, it wasn't even necessarily a signature move, but it was a thing that was shown in a very small clip of me versus Kenny Omega within Fight Forever. And when I saw this little detail, which is not a signature move, I immediately was like, oh my God. And there had been tons of little details like this, but there was a point where Kenny had hit my character, and my character goes outside, and I'm holding my back because he just kicked my back. And I'm like, my character's grabbing my back. And then Kenny does a dive from behind, and my character falls forward like you would if you got hit from behind. Yeah. And then I ran into the guardrail, and the guardrail moves. And immediately I'm like, this is so perfect on so many different levels. And again, that's not even talking about all the signature taunts and the signature moves and the overall movement and mechanics of the fundamentals of pro wrestling. But even paying attention to those little details as well, I know I really appreciated it, and I know the fans will too.
That's awesome. Sobic, what about you?
So everyone has said something already about the attention to detail in this game. I will just say Kenny Omega deserves 100% credit for that. He had every single roster member in this game's back, much to the dismay of the development team, because he was so nitpicky on every single detail. And I think it's been worth it because obviously people are starting to pick up on that. But so I don't want to cop out answer. I don't want to say I love playing every character in the game, but that's true. But I will say I think Adam Cole's character looks the best. I think he looks awesome. In terms of like pride level, I think we're very proud of how his character turned out. I think Kenny Omega has the best entrance by far because he's got like the dancers in the background, and you can actually manually control your character's pyro. I think his entrance is awesome. And then in terms of like playability and just like pure fun factor, I actually love playing as Abaddon because it's just a really unique experience, like unlike playing with any other character. So there's a variety of things I love about the game, but I'd say just pure gameplay, Abaddon's really fun.
That's awesome. I love it. I'm so excited for this game. We're talking about Fight Forever. It comes out today on all kinds of different platforms. Get it if you haven't already pre-ordered and downloaded it and installed it and played it. Definitely get it, because it's a fun game. We're here on AEW Unrestricted. There's more to talk coming up. This is AEW Unrestricted. We have Nik Sobic, Evil Uno, and Adam Cole here today talking about the launch of Fight Forever, AEW's first console game. It's available now on all kinds of different platforms. Pick it up if you haven't already. You've probably already pre-ordered it, but if you haven't, go get it. It's awesome. It's fun. And yes, it's great. It's so exciting that Evil Uno spilled a drink in the middle of recording segments because he was just so excited.
I'd be called out.
I know. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Look at this.
So more than just wrestling, obviously, and like wrestling was the thing that we wanted to capture in this game, but there's a ton of different game modes. In the context of wrestling, there's singles, tag team, three-way, four-way, ladder match, casino battle royal, falls count anywhere, unsanctioned lights out match, exploding barbed wire death match. But then there's also all of these mini games and whatnot. And I think initially when the mini games were announced, everyone's like, what? But then hearing all of the excitement that's come out of it, Cole, talk about the mini games a little bit and kind of your opinion on them, because your face immediately lit up.
To me, it's probably there's so many different like favorite parts of the game, but I'm serious. I think the mini games might be my favorite. Like they really might be. Just strictly for my favorite thing that has happened is we recently got to do an event where we had a bunch of people come together and kind of play the game and feel it out. We would have matches and tag matches and, again, hardcore matches, all this fun stuff. But when we got to the mini games, it was like anyone who was playing the mini games, first of all, everyone who was sitting on the couch playing is screaming and yelling and laughing and having a great time. Everyone around them is watching them play the mini games. Like to me, it was one of the ultimate, like even if you're someone who doesn't necessarily play a ton of wrestling games, this would be a game mode that every single person who enjoys a video game is going to have a blast with. There's a ton of different options. Like baseball is so much fun. There's this one game mode, and the name is escaping me, but where everyone's kind of in a ring without the ropes, and you're throwing or pushing each other to try to get them to fall off the edge, which is really, really cool. It's like such a blast. So I think the mini games were an excellent feature and an excellent idea. And I've never seen it before. And so that's just another super innovative thing with AEW Fight Forever. But oh my God, I'm going to play the mini games for hours. I'm calling it now. I'm going to be the mini game master with AEW Fight Forever.
You're going to be better than Evil Uno. I like it because it kind of harkens back to one of the things that's great about wrestling is there's a little bit of something for everyone, right?
Yes.
Like, and there's so many people who I've talked to who were not into wrestling, and then as soon as they saw someone like Orange Cassidy or Danhausen or Darby on TV, they were immediately hooked. So I think mini games kind of feel like that to me, at least, where it's a thing where I don't really know if I'm into wrestling games, but yeah, this whole baseball thing looks interesting. Cool, I'll play that. And then it's sort of your gateway into all of this other fun stuff in the game.
Totally agree. Yep.
Evil Uno, what's your favorite mini game?
So this will be a weird admission. When we announced we had mini games very early on, I was kind of puzzled because I was like, I just want to play the wrestling game. I'm a big Aki Engine fan, No Mercy. I played so much time on it. And so when I've been playing the game for maybe a month now, and I would say maybe 45 of those 50 hours were used on strictly playing the combat portion, like the actual matches. And not until maybe a week and a half ago, which would be around this event, did I dive deeper into the mini games, and they're a lot of fun. I didn't think I'd have that much fun playing them, just because I was really expecting just like I figured the core wrestling game will be the fun part. The mini games are just a supplement. But like when you're playing the story mode and it gets added in, and you're playing it for the BTE championship, or you're like you're playing against others. I never had people other than Mrs. Uno to play with at home too, and so having 4 people on a couch and having that couch co-op experience playing mini games, it like kind of woke me up to like, oh yeah, this is what's fun about it. It's like sharing it with other people, and so I've been having a blast. Penta Says is a ridiculous. Like a ridiculous concept that I love. Like I can't believe how much sense that makes when I saw it, and I'm also very excited because I haven't seen them yet. But we've got DLC eventually coming out that will have mini games as well. So I'm very excited to see like what the additions on top of all of these. Like I don't remember the like 15 plus mini games I think right now.
Wow.
And so like to add on to that, I'm kind of curious where it's going to go. But yeah, I've been having a blast with them.
That's awesome. Nick, so first off, what's your favorite minigame? And 2, what was sort of the development reasons behind adding minigames? Because that's obviously more cost, more time. What's sort of the reasoning?
One of the, not all development meetings are fun, but one of the best and most fun times we had was the brainstorming meeting for minigames. So, we came up with 100 ideas, and I pushed so hard for Sheeta's Slugfest, so it made me happy that Adam Cole liked it too, because
love it.
That one was a little bit controversial, but it's my favorite.
Yep.
But I'm not capable of being unbiased on that. But so you asked why mini games? We talked about this a little bit earlier. This game is optimized for couch play. It's awesome online. It has like unlimited online features, but I will tell you, like the people that worked on this game are gaming nerds. They've been playing games their whole lives, and we miss sort of the couch play experience. So mini games sort of scratches that itch. But there are 3 separate game modes in this game: mini games, career mode, and then the core wrestling engine game. I think you should buy this game for any one of those 3, but the idea that you get all of them, and there truly is something for everyone, whether you're an online player or you play at home with your friends, or you don't even really know that much about wrestling. This game's just fun, and that's sort of been the focus in terms of every decision we've made throughout the course of this game. Like, is this going to be fun? So hopefully we've accomplished that.
Well, it sounds like everyone on this call is very pleased. So if that's any sort of indicator, you've done a great job.
Very.
So
yes.
Obviously talking about the mini games, but the core of this game is about the wrestling, and there's so many different modes and whatnot. And I've loved all of the trailers that have come out leading to this, the ladder matches, 4-ways, all this sort of stuff. Evil Uno, is there sort of any sort of matches that like maybe through AEW history that you've been really excited to recreate, or anything that you're really excited to see from a wrestling gameplay perspective in the game?
I played the lights out match between Orange and Adam Cole, just out of it was pretty soon after. It was like it was recent on my mind, so I was like, oh, this will be a lot of fun. But honestly, the thing I had the most fun was doing Kingston in a barbed wire rope match, or barbed wire exploding barbed wire rope match, which I was there's some cool stuff around that one. I don't want to delve too deep into that, but that one was a real question mark for me before I played it. I was like, I wonder how this is going to play. And we had a blast. I played it with Kingston. I played it with a few others as well. And it's really cool how that plays around. Like just the mechanics of any move hitting the barbed wire, you have a little miniature explosion, a replay that happens around it. It also just changes how you typically play a one-on-one match, because you have a timer base and the explosion is eventually going to level the playing field where both of you are hurt. And so it's very neat. It's like a much quicker, much more aggressive type of match. And it was cool to do Kingston and Kenny on that, or sorry, Kenny and Mox on that.
Nice. Adam, what about you?
I think, and hopefully this makes sense, but I think it's the approach to both the simplicity of like jumping into a game like this, and then also being able to tell that like elite, pun intended, elite level players in Fight Forever it's going to be super competitive. Like I guess the example that I can make is Britt doesn't play a ton of video games, but she got the chance to play Fight Forever. And within literally a minute, it was like she knew exactly what to do and how to get started and how to do certain moves. It was like very, very quick and easy to learn in that sense. But at the same time, when you have like two people who are like really good at fighting games or really good at wrestling games, you can see how every single decision you make is intentional and you have to be very precise with the things that you do. So I think, again, how fun it is to play, which I know I've said 800 times, but it's so true, guys. I can't reiterate it enough. It is so fun to play. But on top of it being easy to pick up and play, I'm excited to see when people get really, really good at this game. I think there's going to be some crazy matches, whether it's a straight up singles match or a tag match or any of the other gimmick matches that we have in it. It's going to be wild. It's going to be really fun to watch.
Nik, from development perspective, just because you're sort of the unique one on this, I know from my past experiences with video games, there's always sort of the expectation of how things work in the real world versus how they actually work when you interact in a controller. Like when someone in the real world jumps, there's like an actual get up and whatnot. But if Mario jumps, it's instantaneous because that's what we as players expect. So what were sort of the discussions going into how this wrestling game needed to feel? Obviously, there was the let's make it feel like an old, kind of the old games that we all grew up on that we really liked. We wanted to kind of have a throwback to that. But what sort of other discussions came up with how this wrestling game needs to feel?
So I will answer your question, but first of all, I just want to ask does your audience know that you're uniquely equipped to guide this discussion because you're a video game developer?
Yes, I have
and a
over 10 years of professional
Yes.
experience.
Okay.
I've worked on, I shipped 7 games, and then there's like a good 4 that have never seen the light of day that I'll talk about sometime.
We're on the sort of press circuit right now, and we're doing a lot of interviews, and like you're asking great questions, and clearly you've kind of been there before. So
Well, I'm a fan of just the development of like, tell me all about how this game was made.
No,
Yeah,
I'm glad.
it's exciting.
I'm glad you asked that question. So one of the number one questions, because there's some buzz about this game, we're doing a lot of interviews. The first question almost always is like, what took so long? You guys have been working on this for 3.5 years. What have you been doing back there? And so like my answer is every single move in this game is hand animated. Like the games that you see today are all motion capture. And let me tell you, like, it just feels different. Like it feels stale. It feels too simulatory. It feels too lifelike. So we spent the money hand animating every single move in this game. And I can tell you, like, it feels different. It looks different. It plays different. So that's what took so long. And also, by the way, we created a proprietary wrestling engine using the Unreal system, which no one's ever done before. So took a little bit of extra time, but I hope that, like, from a quality perspective, people recognize it was worth the wait.
That's insane that there was no real motion capture in this. And I don't think people understand that like motion capture is not just like a one and done, like you do it, put it in, processes, there you go. It feels, it's like, even with motion capture, there's a little bit of finesse that comes in afterwards from the animators where they have to make things sort of work from controller input to how sort of players expect that gameplay experience. And as soon as you said everything was hand animated, like dollar signs started rolling in my head of like, oh God, like that makes total sense.
It makes it even more work. Yeah.
Right. But that's the thing, right?
it's a game, and there's a lot of great simulator games that mimic real life. And, you know, like when you're playing with Adam Cole's character in the video game, he might jump 15 to 20% higher than he's able to jump in real life. And it adds a little something. It's still grounded in reality, but it's a little bit extra special. You jump a little higher, you hit a little harder, you bleed a little bit more. It's a video game. Like let's have a little bit of fun. So early we went away from simulator and added a little bit of arcade flavor.
Yeah, I mean you have to for what everyone I think on this call, backstage, and all of the fans of AEW wanted. We wanted something that was more fun, arcadey. Like, let's get away from the simulator. Let's just have fun, because if it's not fun, why the hell are we doing all of this? This is an incredible discussion here on AEW Unrestricted, and there's more to talk about coming up. AEW Unrestricted, we were talking about AEW Fight Forever. It's out today, all kinds of different platforms, consoles, PCs, whatever your flavor is, you can get it, you can play it. It's fun, it's a blast. there's wrestling, there's mini games, it's so good. It's so good. I'm so excited to get my hands on it finally in the comfort of my own home and just on my couch, which we've talked about. The couch play is so fun. It's just a fun game that people who aren't big wrestling game fans can sit down and immediately enjoy. But this is a game for wrestling fans. And one of the cool things with this is we have Owen Hart in the game. And Nik Sobic, I want to talk a little bit about how that all came to be, because that's huge. I know we do a lot of work with Martha Hart and the Hart Foundation, but like that's a completely separate, like, how do you get Owen Hart in a video game?
I mean, I have to say that it's just been really a blessing to be able to work with Dr. Martha Hart and just how involved she's been in this game and just how involved she's been in terms of acclimating to the AEW family. It's a very special relationship, and it's an impossible task to like do it right, and it's an impossible task to just try and capture like the spirit of Owen Hart. And every character in this game was treated equally, but I would say if there's another standard, maybe Owen Hart got a little extra love, but that's okay because Dr. Hart and the team, everyone's a wrestling fan, everyone's an Owen Hart fan, and it was like a labor of love type thing that maybe he got a little extra special attention. I will say his character in the game, very well balanced. So if you're trying to figure out like who's your person who you like to play with, you can do a little bit of everything. Worth a shot. And we hope the fans, like, it's a special thing for this game, and we hope the fans enjoy it.
Adam Cole is the winner of the Owen Hart tournament last year, the first ever winner. Yeah. What does it sort of feel? How does it feel to you to have Owen Hart in a game like this?
Yeah. First of all, Nick's answer it's so true and so great on so many different levels. Again, the appreciation and the love that myself and the entire AEW roster, the entire AEW family has for Owen and his family, Martha as well, is very, very real. And the love and appreciation of getting to, whether it be, again, the Owen Hart tournament that we did or Owen being showcased in Fight Forever, it's just so important, again, to us and to so many pro wrestling fans to continue to showcase his legacy and how important he's been to so many different people. So, again, this is it's so cool that he gets to be in this game and showcase the way he deserves to.
Awesome. Very cool. Uno, so you are the face, and I know we're in meetings every week talking about all the stuff that AEW Games is working on, but you're the guy behind All Elite Arcade, and I know that you guys have had some fun playing this game and whatnot. What's sort of the thing that you've enjoyed most about playing this game for other people?
I love previewing the game in general, just because of the general excitement that every time you drop this little morsel of information, especially because they've waited so long, people get so excited. There's things that I didn't think people would get excited about that they go insane for, like finding out that there was pyro in the entrances. Like, people went insane for that. And I just did it not thinking about it. At that point, it was just something that I was now 7 steps ahead into other the deep findings of matches and stuff. But like the character reveals. I recently just played with Angelico and did tag matches, and we were having, I think my best time ever playing this game was when me and Angelico were attempting to do all of the Lucha Bros' tag moves. And figuring tag spots that like are almost nonsensical, but were so fun to do. Realizing, for example, one thing people went insane for, and I went insane for because I hadn't realized it because I wasn't playing with a friend at the time, was you can blind tag. So you could do tags in the middle of moves. So I was climbing to the top doing a superplex, and he tags my leg. And as I'm jumping from the top, he starts climbing for the next portion. I was like, this is insane. And so
oh my God,
it's been very cool to play it for people. I've been, it's been a heck of a trip doing all this stuff too. We went to Germany last year and meeting everyone that got to play it for the first time. And we were so anxious about how people were going to take it. And it was incredible to just mostly have positive feedback. Like, people that are like, this is what I wanted. Like, this is what I wanted to play. So it's been very neat to see people get excited for it. You know, there's obviously some negative aspects that come to promoting a video game, but when we finally get to start unveiling the stuff and start showcasing what the game is really all about, it's been neat to see people be so positive about it.
Awesome. Yeah, and kind of going back to what Nik said a little bit about, you know, the game taking so long and all that. That's one of the things that I found really interesting was sort of how this game was talked about publicly. Like, there wasn't a constant push of content and streaming stuff. It was like, we're going to hold everything close to the chest until we're sort of ready to unveil a lot of things. There's this amazing quote, I'm going to butcher it, from Shigeru Miyamoto, where it's like, a bad game is bad forever, so you might as well take as long as you need to make a good game. Mm-hmm. And it's like, people forget that because they want it now. We live in a world where everything is very instantaneous, and it's like, no, you want to take the time to work on something, and it's nice to see the immediate reactions, but yeah, just hold back. I remember seeing Uno and Nox and a bunch of people at Gamescom playing in the game, and it's just like, man, this is exciting. This is so cool. So one of my favorite moments recently, watching sort of everyone talk about this game on Twitter, was seeing the video of Chris Statlander riding around on Darby's skateboard, and then seeing the pictures of them doing that at the house show like 2 days later. Mm-hmm. And there's a ton of weapons in this game. There's Darby's skateboard, there's Jericho's bat, Floyd, there's barbed wire bat, fire extinguisher, tennis racket, crowbar, all these things. Pizza is a weapon, which was a good choice. So obviously, like, everything can become a weapon in real life wrestling. Nik, what was sort of the process for deciding which weapons were going to make it in this first iteration of the game?
So from a video game development perspective and a timing perspective, we had a cap. So again, another really fun brainstorming meeting is we had a meeting to discuss every potential weapon that you could possibly imagine used in or around a wrestling ring. I will say, like, some of the ones that I'm really excited about, like thumbtacks, are ridiculous. That's super fun in the game. The idea that you can, I think some of this has made the rounds on social media a little bit, but the idea that you can light a table on fire is pretty fun. Skateboarding, utterly unique. We had to create sort of a new mechanic to incorporate that into the game. But
yeah, there's whole games about skateboarding, and you're just like, we're going to throw this in.
Sprinkled that in. Yeah, the development team loved that one. So there's a lot. There's a lot of weapons. There's a lot of different ways to use them. The thing about this game is, like, we probably haven't even figured out all the ways you can use them yet. But, you know, that's why we have our fans. They will figure it out, hopefully, and teach us how to do it.
Yeah, it's the emergent behavior that comes out of it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you build a game intending people to play it one way, and then once they get it in their hands, you're like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. That's pretty dope. Which is part of what makes it really exciting, watching everyone play. Adam, is there a favorite weapon of yours?
Oh, I hate to do a repeat answer, but I will say the first time I saw the skateboarding in the game, it was just, my mind was blown. Because of course, you know, there are going to be in some capacity, some weapons, and everything looks great and it feels great. But the skateboarding, I was like, oh my God, they thought of everything to put in this game. So, I mean, that's the one that is absolutely burned into my memory, the skateboarding for sure. But I'm excited to see all of them because I don't know every single weapon that you can use. But man, I know it's going to be great.
Oh my God. Evil Uno, what about you?
I hate to recycle to their answers, so I'm going to say something else. But because both the thumbtacks and the skateboarding, to me, are the ones that are the funnest. The first time I saw the skateboard, I couldn't believe that we had this in the game because it changes the entire dynamic of what you're doing. And the thumbtacks on top of that too, because like if you're going to land on thumbtacks, you have to bleed. It's supposed to cause extra damage and all that. So like to see it in play and see how it affected the match was very neat. But I honestly, the fire extinguisher is really cool. And this is like a little tidbit, but like usually fire extinguishers before you would hit with it. And then maybe you would like activate an animation with a grapple or something. This one you could just fire at will and just kind of like foam people so like in mid action you could start foaming them and stuff. So it's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. And it just looks very, very neat.
So hypothetically, someone could be on a skateboard, get sprayed with a fire extinguisher, and fall into
I've not tried that, but I will right after this call now.
I guarantee.
Because I never thought about that.
Guarantee as soon as like people start listening to this, it's like, okay, well, let me go over here, play this game, try it, and then we'll start seeing the videos after like, oh yeah, Unrestricted is out, and then also here's all these clips of the things that people literally just talked about. I'm so freaking excited. Oh my God. Cole, what was it like seeing yourself in a video game?
It's surreal. I mean, so many times I've talked before about in my career things that I'm most proud of, and seeing yourself in a video game to me is like the pinnacle. Again, the two things I'm most passionate about is pro wrestling and video games, and specifically going off of what Nik touched on previously. The first time I saw my character model, I was blown away. It's definitely my favorite character model that I've ever had of myself in a wrestling game. I thought they just nailed every single aspect of my presentation and my character and all those things. So I'm a collector when it comes to video game memorabilia and history. And there are only going to be the first game I had on display was Road Rash from the Sega Genesis, because it was the first game that I ever played as a kid. And Fight Forever is going to go right beside Road Rash in a little case, just because it's so surreal and so cool to me to have my character in a game that looks and plays that well. So it's one of my highlights of my career.
Awesome. One of the highlights I have every time I'm making a game and seeing someone play it is sort of just the reactions. And we've talked a little bit about, I know, Adam, you had mentioned like when Britt picked up the game and started playing it. Evil Uno, you've had the chance to play the game a lot yourself, but also have other people that you've played the game with. Is there any sort of reaction you've seen from either someone on the roster or one of our friends who's come on? Like, what is sort of like the reactions that stand out to you as far as like, oh, this person had a blast?
So a lot of people who are in this game are first timers in video games, and like I can tell you this from personal experience and from like my friends' experiences. Like the goal for a lot of us from our generation, when video games are prevalent, when Aki Engine games were there when we started wrestling, was to be in a wrestling game. So, and I don't want to disclose who, because I don't want to, voice out that they did this, but I've had a handful of people cry when they saw and played their character for the first time, because it's a big goal. It's a big deal in their lives as well. And so it's been neat to be able to share that experience with them. It's been very, very cool. And then on top of that, you just see like the glee when they start realizing the stuff that they've spent 20 years doing is in there. The taunts are in there, and there's specific moves. And there's also like some voiceover stuff that's called to them, chanting, the music, your entrance. Like, it's very neat to see yourself immortalized in a video game, right? And so it's been very cool to share that with my friends.
Very cool. Nik, when you were telling people they were in a video game, is there any sort of reaction that really stood out to you as far as like, oh, this person's going to enjoy it?
Almost the opposite, actually. I think
Really?
the most common question locker room, backstage, or whatever right now is, how come I'm not in the game? This is ridiculous. And so my answer is like, this game is out right now. It's available for purchase right now. And my answer is, this is an opportunity of gaming fans and wrestling fans to vote with their wallet. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, like, I've known founder of AEW, Tony Khan, for almost 10 years now. I can tell you he's one of the most generous people that I know. And I can tell you that if this game does well, the cash isn't going to line his pockets. It's going right back into this game. It's going right back into AEW games, and it's going right back into AEW Fight Forever. So the way that we get the entire roster into this game is if the fans love it, the fans buy it, the fans play it. I would love nothing more than to have a full roster. So hopefully the people that, support this game are the ones that's going to sort of drive momentum to expanding the roster, keeping the DLC going for, years and years if we can. And that will allow us sort of ample time to be able to add a little bit of everyone and a little bit of everything.
I love it. I love it so much. This game's so great. All right, game's out today. Evil Uno, what platform are you playing on, and what are you most excited to try out today?
I've been playing on PC, but I just recently got a secondary code on PS5, which I'm excited because that's where I play with my friends online games. And so my friends have not been allowed to touch this game. And so I've just waited until today to start beating the crap out of them, or potentially lose within 2 minutes like I've done with everyone else. So I'll be playing on PlayStation 5 for sure.
Awesome. Cole, what about you?
For me also, I'm probably going to get it on, definitely going to get it on PlayStation 5, and then also going to get it on PC. as well, because I travel with a Steam Deck now. So the idea of having it on Steam Deck sounds very, very exciting, whether I'm flying or in a hotel or what have you. So yeah, definitely going to get it on multiple platforms for sure.
Awesome. Nick, what about you?
My squad is almost exclusively Xbox, but I'm very excited about being able to get this on a Switch. The way we've optimized this game for Switch and just the portability and be able to play anywhere, anytime, I'm excited about that. So Xbox, Switch for me.
That's the one I'm most excited about. It just kind of makes sense with the arcadey feel for what Nintendo games used to feel like. That's what Nintendo's really good at, is kind of having that vibe in their consoles, even 20 years later, 30 years later, whatever. So Switch is going to be my definite preferred platform. Plus the travelability. Like now I can go and play with my friends at work. I can play with my friends at home. I'm very, very excited. Oh, this is great. Thank you so much, guys. I can't thank you all enough for being here today and talking about Fight Forever, and just the sheer excitement on all of your faces. Just like, yes, Toad, it's finally here. This is so great.
I know. We are so pumped. So pumped. Yeah, so thanks for having us. This is great. Right after this, I'm going to go play. So
Nice. Yeah. I'm going to do a little work. And I'm saying that just because my boss is on this call. And then I'm going to go play.
I have a mess of coffee on my floor that I have to clean up. So,
and then you'll play after that.
Yeah, that'll be my plans.
Yeah. My favorite thing that was not captured on this call was attempting to drink while wearing a mask and then proceeding to spill everything everywhere. Yeah. That is how excited he is.
I often forget.
It was a good save, Uno. It was a good
save.
I thought. Yeah.
I think we've all we need to have paper towels next to our desk now. This is great.
Yes.
Anyway. Thank you all for coming today. Fight Forever, out now in stores, online. Download it. It's on PC. It's on console. It's everywhere. Play it. It is such an incredible game. And I'm so proud of everyone who has worked on this game, getting it out the door. Shipping a game is so hard. One of my favorite quotes is, no one likes the process of making sausage, and making a video game is like the process of making sausage out of yourself. So this is a labor of love. And the pride I have for everyone is just so immense. Thank you all for coming today and being on AEW Unrestricted.
Thanks, guys.
Well said. Thank you for having us.
Yes, the AEW Unrestricted, new episodes every Thursday on all of your favorite podcast platforms. You can watch AEW Dynamite Wednesdays, AEW Rampage Fridays, AEW Collision on Saturdays. We're all over the place, and now we're in your consoles. We're invading your home. We're on your screen all the time. You can't get rid of us. So listen in. We've got video episodes every Monday. This is just an awesome podcast. Thank you all for listening to AEW Unrestricted. I'm Aubrey Edwards. Bye-bye.